Welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, that was a pretty dramatic Champions League game week, wasn't it? Good guys, this week we've got middle-aged housewives flocking to the cinema to drool over James Bond. Am I the only one not interested in watching a nearly 60-year-old man cracking onto girls just out of their teens? Oh yeah, you like it when he looks like Daniel Craig, but if you saw Piers Morgan do that down the pub, you'd be close to ringing the police. The real drama this week, it's not in the cinema, where Aunt Margaret is probably ripping a sneaky hole in the bottom of her popcorn box. No, it was on the pitch, and lads, let me go through all the games. Right, let's go. Real Madrid versus Sheriff Tiraspol. Did this actually happen? Real Madrid, the 13-time champions of Europe, actually came off the Santiago Bernabeu pitch as losers against a team called Sheriff Tiraspol from Moldova, a country that doesn't officially exist. Yeah, it's a country which doesn't actually exist. What next? Are you gonna lose to a team from Narnia or the North Pole or the healthy section in James Corden's fridge? They say you can tell a lot from a football team's crest. When I look at Real Madrid's badge, I think of titles, of glory, of a rich history, a powerful, monstrous footballing icon. When I look at Sheriff Tiraspol's crest, I think of Woody from Toy Story. You know, the cowboy voiced by Tom Hanks, who was clearly desperate to grope Bo Peep underneath Andy's bed. Carlo Ancelotti, where is your pride? You are a man who's reached the final of this competition 6 times in your life. You've lifted the trophy 5 times. A Sheriff's coach, by comparison, looks like someone caught on camera by Stinson Hunter.
Are you here to meet a 13-year-old boy?
Look at him, you just know he smells of middle-aged coffee breath. Probably smells like the ball bag of groundskeeper Willie. Honestly, he looks like Ukraine's answer to Paul Jewell. Just a walking sweat patch who probably thinks showers are a government conspiracy. I mean, how did you spend last summer during lockdown? I mean, I imagine most of you were so starved of affection and conversation that you were probably trying to shut up your houseplant and make love to your teapot. But this man, he was sacked by a team in Belarus. Sheriff Tiraspol, this is a club who were only founded in 1997. They play in a stadium that from the outside looks like a rundown hotel. They have never played in the Champions League before. And now, they've just beaten the biggest club in world sport. This makes 0 sense. The guy who scored the winner, Sebastian Thiel, by the way, what a finish. Utterly thumping it into the top corner of Thibaut Courtois' net. I'm not gonna sit here and say this guy's a part-time Luxembourg milkman. Because no, honestly, most milkmen, if they attempted that strike, would probably shatter their pelvis. But this is a nothing midfielder whose first game in European football was getting thumped 3-0 by Shamrock Rovers 5 years ago. I mean, the guy's got a tattoo on his leg dreaming of the Champions League trophy. I mean, do you know how unrealistic this tattoo actually was? You might as well have also told the artist to scribble on a picture of him living on the moon whilst married to one of the Powerpuff Girls. Real Madrid are a team full of overpaid superstars. They live in a different galaxy to the rest of us mere mortals. Christ above, each player probably needs at least 3 bodyguards whenever they go out in public. But still, here he is being interviewed on a park bench in Russia and nobody knows who he is. This vaping old man probably thinks he's just somebody being interviewed by the Russian news just because he baked a cake that looks like Vladimir Putin's face or something. No, this fella, this homeless looking man, was less than a year off scoring the winning goal at the Santiago Bernabeu. Moldova is the 2nd poorest country in Europe. I'm no geography expert, but to me, it looks like a forgotten chunk of farmland sandwiched between Ukraine and Romania. People keep leaving Moldova, mostly because it's just a big farm for Moldovan sheep, and they've somehow been able to produce a football team which has just punched Real Madrid in the face. Florentino Perez, I hope you are watching. This guy proposed the European Super League because he thought Real Madrid were too good to waste their time with meaningless games like this, you know, against comparatively footballing lepers. Footballers so far beneath his Galacticos that they should probably be told to get changed on the bus, right? Yeah, if you want to sit in the away dressing room, maybe sign up for a stadium tour. Because honestly, in Perez's eyes, footballers from Moldova don't get to use the luxury toilets at the Santiago Bernabeu, right? No, instead, just take a piss in the petrol station across the road. Well, I think this proves that Perez is superior. Elitist ideas on football are complete and utter horse manure. The truth is, Real Madrid were brutal. This was a ramshackle defense. You dump Sergio Ramos and Rafael Varane for a lopsided centre-back partnership of Eder Militao and David Alaba. 2 players who looked like hungover sheep for most of the game. The midfield is mostly non-existent. Good grace, Eduardo Camavinga is supposed to be the next Paul Pogba, right? Well, here, in the first half, the 18-year-old kid had the midfield presence of a wet crisp packet, and so spent the second half playing left back. I'm sorry, what? Carlo Ancelotti, I know for a world-class manager like yourself, then, you know, spending a year at a club like Everton, you know, a club just allergic to trophies, it's probably like an esteemed brain surgeon taking 6 months out to go and live on a beach in Magaluf, drinking whiskey and making love to fat dinner ladies from Plymouth. When you return to work, you're probably gonna have a rotten hangover and hands that smell of beef. So similarly, Ancelotti, please give your brain a scrub and detox, because Camavinga left back, that's exactly the sort of decision an Everton manager would make. A quick word on the goalie though, Georges Athanasiadis. He was absolutely superb. I mean, I don't know who he is. I don't know if he lives in a caravan in the hills of Kiev or what. But good gracious, he was terrific. He even took a Luka Modric shot in the head. Sheriff has come through 4 rounds of qualifying to even make it into the group stage of the Champions League. 4 rounds of qualifying. It's almost as if UEFA were desperate to not let them in. Just put up as many roadblocks as possible. I mean, this is like queuing up for a swanky London nightclub and being told by the bouncer to stand on your head, recite 3 chapters of the Bible, and win 6 consecutive games of rock, paper, scissors. But Sheriff made it, and not only that, they've beaten Real, but honestly for the Spanish, this must be the darkest chapter in the history of their club. Carlo Ancelotti, you really came back for this? Benfica versus Barcelona. Barcelona are an absolute joke. Listen, Benfica 3, Barcelona 0. Listen, I did predict this. Barcelona fans, you should be worried. I also think you'll lose away at Benfica too. Although in my head, I thought it might be a squeaky 1-goal win, not a 3-0 battering. People thought when Barcelona lost 7-0 in aggregate to Bayern Munich in 2013 that was a crisis. Now, when you've already got the GOAT in your team and you can just go out and sign Neymar in the summer, no. But this is a club who could barely afford wages for their staff. I wouldn't be surprised if the receptionist in the lobby gets paid in Milky Ways. Here was Ronald Koeman, returning to Benfica 15 years after they sacked him. The Spanish press have utterly torn him to shreds. Apparently the club are now wanting to replace him with Andrea Pirlo. I'm sorry, what? The guy who just steered Cristiano Ronaldo and Juventus to 4th in Serie A? A managerial rookie who, by all rights, should be learning his trade for someone like Blackburn Rovers. I mean, don't hand him the reins of Barcelona, are you insane? Getting rid of Koeman solves nothing, because who are the alternatives? I mean, Xavi? I mean, forget his reputation as a player. He's just a failed coach in Qatar. Who else? Roberto Martinez, another failed Everton manager. I mean, you really think Barcelona should be hiring the former coach of Swansea and Wigan? Antonio Conte would never touch this cauldron of disaster in a million years. Who else? Dominic Torrent, a guy who was just sacked after less than 30 games at Flamengo in Brazil. A guy recently dumped by New York City FC. What? Even Thierry Henry, Andres Villas-Boas and Mikel Arteta are all in the running, and just below them is Patrick Kluivert and Arsene Wenger. These are not good candidates to become the boss of Barcelona in 2021. This Barca team, with no money, there's no hope. Lads, I wouldn't be surprised. They're probably going to offer the job to Frank de Boer. In 3 years, it probably will be Roberto Martinez in the dugout, finishing 6th in the league, with Divock Origi up front. It's just sad. Man United versus Villarreal. This is redemption for David De Gea. Last May, Villarreal was the low ebb in his career, watching the entire team queue up to score a penalty past him before he missed the only penalty in the Europa League final penalty shootout. He looked a beaten man, surely about to be dumped on the porch of AC Milan, right? Nah, the guy's back to his best. 6 saves against Villarreal, meaning that Dean Henderson, watching that game, probably about as fun as watching your granddad having a tug to photos of his niece in the bath. That alone would make you want to vomit blood all over your shoes. Oh yeah, Villarreal went 1-0 up. Alex Telles then morphed into Paul Scholes to volley into the bottom corner with a sumptuous, sensational goal. And then Ronaldo batters in a 95th minute winner, rips off his shirt. Just play the clip. Do you see what you've done, Ronaldo? You've now got a bunch of grown men jumping about like constipated toddlers in preschool.
Oh, shoo!
I mean, watch this poor Greenwood clone. He's already got his jumper wrapped around his waist, so you already know he'd have the rhythm and timing of a teapot. Well, look at this. He's nervously waiting during the build-up for the big moment to pull off the Ronaldo jump with his mates. And it's the feeblest, meekest jump I've ever seen in my life. It's like watching a kitten take its first baby steps, honestly. PSG versus Man City. Man City versus PSG. Many footballing purists would have sat down to watch this on their telly and immediately felt like slicing off their own tongue with a fork. PSG versus Man City. It's like watching 2 multi-billionaires wrestle each other on a luxurious Lamborghini yacht in the middle of the Red Sea. This was such a sugar-coated battle of cash that honestly I wouldn't be surprised if the stadium was serving jars of caviar at half time. Good Christ, even the PSG Euros probably smell like Versace perfume. Anyway, everyone was excited to watch this game, and of all the multi-millionaire legends in the pitch, of all the shiny toys available, the first guy to score a goal was someone once relegated at Aston Villa. A 3-cent gay. Christ above, with a name like that. Thank Christ he didn't grow up in Irish schools, or he'd probably have had Catholic nuns trying to perform an exorcism in the bath. Anyway, what else? Bernardo Silva missed an open goal from 3 yards out. Ow! In one split second, he was possessed by the ghost of Nwankwo Kanu from West Brom. Just horrific, but overall, it was a controlled performance from PSG, capped off with Lionel Messi spanking his first goal into the top corner. It was a great finish, but it just looked a bit weird to see Messi score a goal for someone other than Barcelona or Argentina. It's just, I don't know, it's a bit like catching your mother in bed with the PE teacher. What? No? What? You're more likely to catch my PE teacher in bed with half the class. But incredible goal, and lads, he was even willing to lie behind the wall for a free kick, with Neymar looking at him and asking, "What are you doing?" I'm sorry, a bit rich for Neymar to think it's disgusting for Messi to lie on the floor for his teammates and the good of his team. Neymar, I quite happen to think that it's disgusting to spend 7 hours a day licking Nutella off your sister's armpit, but you don't see me judging. Juventus versus Chelsea. 1-0 Juventus, 11 seconds. 11 seconds into the second half, Chelsea, they just went to sleep. And this was another game where Romelu Lukaku worryingly just looked a bit average. AC Milan versus Atletico Madrid. So AC Milan are finally back in the Champions League. 2 games in and they're stuffed on 0 points. I know, it's for a great European club like them, this is a bit sad. It's a bit like watching a sporting legend like Tiger Woods lose a game of pitch and putt to a 9-year-old girl before nervously defecating in a nearby rosemary bush. But to be fair, this is unlucky. Rafael Leao smashed him to a first half 1-0 lead. Then the referee decides to send off Frank Kessie for gently nudging into someone. I'm sorry, a red card for that. You'd see more aggressive contact at 6 o'clock on the London Tube. The fact Milan had to battle for an hour with 10 men and they were winning with just 7 minutes left. Then Antoine Griezmann smacks in a world-class volley in 84 minutes. And then the referee decides to stick 7 minutes on the clock. Just enough time for Atletico Madrid to win a penalty and Luis Suarez to convert. Porto versus Liverpool. Porto fans must be utterly sick in their nostrils. This is a proud Champions League winning club who've now welcomed Liverpool 3 times to the ground since 2018, and they've lost 5-0, 4-1 and 5-1. The Estadio de Dragão is supposed to be some Portuguese fortress, right? For Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, it's like their own private paddling pool, mostly filled with Sadio Mane's piss. Why do Porto keep rolling over and dying for the Liverpool team? This is how to knock Juventus out of the Champions League last season. They're not a bunch of Scandinavian milkmen from Reykjavik, but some of the defending and goalkeeping skill on display. Honestly, it made the team look like a giant chunk of horse diarrhea. I mean, there was no Pepe for this match, and thank Christ for that, because if he watched his own defensive teammates crumble like that in front of his very eyes, I wouldn't put it past him to morph into Patrick Bateman and whip out a chainsaw in the showers after the match. Honestly, he just saw his teammates being run ragged by Curtis Jones. RB Leipzig versus Club Brugge. RB Leipzig, they knocked Man United out of the Champions League last season. When you are now stuffed in the same group as PSG and Man City, then I'm sorry, you need to be taking all 6 points from Club Brugge to give yourself a chance. The fact you were given a 5-minute lead through Christopher Nkunku, the fact this is a team riding high after a 6-0 win over Hertha Berlin at the weekend, the fact you were playing against a goalkeeper with the wrist strength of a bowl of Pringles and Simon Mignolet, to think this guy once rivaled Thibaut Courtois for the Belgium #1 shirt. I think in the 7 years since, he's proven that yeah, he's actually about as reliable as a banana smoothie made by Stevie Wonder. Oh, that's what you want in your drink? Chunks of broken glass and a pencil sharpener. Bayern Munich versus Dynamo Kiev. 5-0, even Choupo-Moting scored. What more do you want me to say? Ajax versus Besiktas. I hope David Moyes isn't tuning into the Champions League this week, because Sebastian Haller, you know, West Ham's very own version of Joe Linton, he's currently leading the way for the Champions League Golden Boot, smacking in his 5th goal in 2 games. This time against Besiktas in a routine 2-0 win. Somewhere, Moyes is probably reading this in a newspaper on the toilet whilst getting ready to angrily squirt toothpaste in his eye. Borussia Dortmund versus Sporting Lisbon. I tipped Sporting Lisbon to be the Champions League dark horses. I said they'd top the group. Instead, no, 1-0 Daniel Malin. That's what I get for having faith in you, I guess. Shakhtar Donetsk versus Inter Milan. 0-0, boring match. Zenit St. Petersburg versus Malmo. 4-0, poor Malmo, Christ above. Red Bull Salzburg versus Lille. Anyway, that's what it is. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Did you enjoy the Champions League week this week? Let me know in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.